In this video, we will be talking about how to solve work problems. So let's have the first problem. Seth can wash and walks a car in 2 hours. Venus can do the same job in 3 hours. How long will it take them to do the job together? Okay, so let me show you the format of solving a work problem. So it's going to be like this, which is actually in a fraction form. All right. So the top part will be or the numerator will be the time when they will do it together, or if Seth and Venus do it together. So it takes x hours, or whatever letter that you are going to use for the unknown time, because that's the one that you are trying to solve. Next is the bottom, or the denominator. It is the time when they can finish it uh, doing it alone. So the first one is for Seth, which is 2 hours, and the second one is for Venus, which uh, she can do it for 3 hours. Doing it alone. And then these fractions is equated with uh, the number of jobs. So it's only one job, which is washing and waxing the car, which is equivalent to 1. So if there are 2 cars, then you put 2 or 3 cars and so on. If it's only half of the parts of the car being washed and waxed, so it's going to be 1/2 and so on. So here it's not given, so it means only one. It's the whole one whole car. All right. So next is we are going to solve this. We are going to um, we have to find ways so that we can cancel out the denominator, because it's easier to solve when there is no more denominator. All right. So we're gonna multiply all these terms. It means everything with the least common denominator. So meaning it is a number that can be divided by the denominators, which is 2 and 3. So it's the least. But it is not necessarily strict to be the least. You can use other common denominators. Let's say 12. You can use 12. It will end up with the same answer, because 12 can be divided by 2, it can be divided by 3. Although 12 is not the least common denominator, but it is a common denominator. So what I'm saying is it's not strictly to be the least common denominator. You can use other common denominators as long as it can be divided by the denominators. So let's continue. So 6 times x over 2, it will be 3x. Then 6 times x over 3. 6 and 3 can be cancelled or divided, so it becomes 2. So we have 2x. And then 6 times 1 is 6. And then we can combine now 3x plus 2x. Since there's no more denominator, of course, technically speaking, there is denominator of 1, but it is unnecessary to put. So 3x plus 2x is 5x. So 5x equals 6. To solve for x, we need to divide both sides by 5. And cancel out 5 the left side, so it's left with x only, and x is equal to 6/5. But if it's improper fraction, you need to convert it into mixed form. So 6 over 5, change it to mixed, it becomes 1 and 1/5. So the answer is 1 and 1/5 hours. So that means if Seth and Venus do it together, or do the work together, it will be faster. So it's gonna be 1 and 1/5 hours only. Now let's have the second problem. Mr. and Mrs. Cortez can complete a job in 5 hours. If Mr. Cortez works twice as long as Mrs. Cortez, if each does the job alone, how long does it take Mrs. Cortez to complete the job alone? Alright, so the same template or the same format that we are going to do. It's the fractional forms equals the number of jobs. Now what's different here in this problem is the number of hours when they do it together is given. It is not the missing. The missing is when Mrs. Cortez will do it or do the job alone. Alright, so let us solve this. So again, the numerator is for when they do it together, or the time when they do it together. It is given that it is 5 hours. And then also the denominator is the time when they do it alone. It is not given. What is given is Mr. Cortez works twice as long as Mrs. Cortez. So that means for Mrs. Cortez, it is X. And for Mr. Cortez, since it's twice as long, so that means it's 2 times X. And then since they're going to do a job that is only one job, so it is because it is not given how many jobs, or it's not also given that it's only part of the job, but it's one whole job, so we're going to put here 1. Next is, again, if there is denominator, we have to find ways to eliminate the denominator, meaning eliminate the fraction, so that the whole thing will only be whole numbers, so that it's going to be easier for us to calculate. So to do that, we need to get the least common denominator. So this is the LCD, or least common denominator. It is the least term that can be divided by x and also by 2x. But again, it is not necessary that it's the least. You can use other common denominators. Let's say, for example, 4x or 6x. As long as it's divisible by x and 2x, it will work. It's going to be the same answer. Alright, so let's continue. 2x times 5 over x. It will be 10. 2x times 5 over 2x. 2x will be cancelled, so what's left is 5. And then 2x times 1 is 2x. Next is we can combine now 10 and 5. 10 plus 5 is 15. So it is now 15 equals 2x. Now, as you can see, it looks awkward to see that the unknown variable is at the right side. So you can interchange the two. It's fine. It will not change the equation, or it will not affect the answer. But if you're fine with this form, it's okay to continue with the unknown variable at the right side. But for me, I will just interchange these two, as it looks more comfortable for me to see that the unknown variable is at the left side. Then divide both by 2, so that that 2 will be eliminated and x will be left alone at the left side. So we have x equals 15 halves. But then again, it's improper fraction, so we're going to change it to mixed form. So 15 over 2 in mixed form is 7 and 1/2. So that means Mrs. Cortez alone doing the job will take 7.5 hours. Now let's have the third problem. One printing press can produce a newspaper in 6 hours running alone. A second press could produce the paper in 9 hours running alone. A third press could produce the paper in 12 hours working alone. A late-breaking headline caused the newspapers to change the paper later than usual. If all 3 presses are run, how long will it take to produce 2 newspapers? Okay, so what's different with this third problem is there are three terms involved already. There are three printing press. So it's the process will be the same, although there are three fractions involved now. So it's going to be like this, and the same procedure. The numerator will be the time when they do it together. The denominator will be the time when they do it alone, and at the right side will be the number of jobs. It's going to be the same procedure even if there are many things involved. You will just need to add fractions, but the process is the same. So here, what it's looking for the time when they are going to do it together. So it's the missing. So the numerator is the missing time. And then it's given for the first printing press that it takes 6 hours doing it alone. The second one takes 9 hours to do it alone. And the third one, it takes 12 hours to do it alone. And then the number of jobs given is there are 2 newspapers. So we're going to put 2 instead of 1. Okay. So next is, again, if there is a fraction or a denominator, you are going to eliminate that by multiplying everything, meaning all, by the least common denominator. Or if you are not comfortable with the least, or if it's hard for you to find the least, you can use any common denominator. Okay, so the least common denominator for this is actually 36. Because if you're going to use 24 is divisible by 12 and 6, but not for 9. If you're going to use 18 is divisible by 9 and 6, but not for 12. So the common for these three denominators is 36. But you can use 72. 72 is divisible by 6, 9, 12. Any common denominator. But it's faster if it's least common denominator because you don't need to reduce the fractions. Anyway, let's continue. 36 times x over 6. So let's have the first term. That's 6x. 36 times x over 9 is 4x. 36 times x over 12 is 3x. And then 36 times 2 is 72. Now it's easier for us to solve now because there's no more fraction. So 6x plus 4x plus 3x, it will be 13x. Then divide both sides by 13 so that we can eliminate 13 at the left side. So what's left is x equals 72 over 13. Then change the improper fraction to mixed form to get the final answer, which is 5 and 7 over 13 hours. So that means it takes 5 and 7 over 13 hours to create the 2 newspapers if all 3 printing press are working. Now let's have the fourth problem. An inlet pipe can fill a barrel of vinegar in 8 hours and an outlet pipe can empty it in 12 hours. How long will it take to fill half the barrel if both pipes are left open? Alright, so this is a bit different from the previous 3 problems because the first object, they are both pipes, but the first one is an inlet. It fills the barrel, while the other pipe is an outlet pipe where it will make the barrel empty. So they are opposite to each other. The one filling in, the other one is emptying the barrel. All right, so the same template with the fraction forms for the work problem. It's just that the sign will be minus because there is one object that is opposite, having opposite concept with the other one because it's empty and the other one is filling in. So the filling in object will be the positive, the emptying object will be the negative, which is the minus. But the same procedure, the top will be the one that the time when they do it together, the bottom will be the time when they do it alone. The right side will be the number of jobs to do. So the top will be X because it is what we are looking for. The time when they do it together, and how long will it take if they're going to do it together, and it will fill half the barrel. So it's X. And then at the bottom, since the first one is a positive, X over, so it is the time for the inlet pipe, which is 8 hours. And the negative term is for the outlet pipe, which is it will take 12 hours to doing it alone to empty the pipe. So we have X over 12. And then the number of jobs, it is not 1 because it's only saying to fill the half the barrel. So it's 1/2 instead of 1. So as you can see, all the terms are fraction form. So we want to eliminate the denominator to make it simpler to solve by using a least common denominator. So we're going to multiply everything by 24. That's the least common denominator. Or you can multiply it by 48 if you want. That's a common denominator. That's not the least, but it's still, it will end up with the same answer. So we'll multiply 24 by X over 8. It will be 3X. 24 times X over 12. It will be 2X. 24 times 1/2 is 12. Then it's easier now to solve. So 3x minus 2x is x. So the answer is 12 hours. That means if you open both the inlet pipe and the outlet pipe, it will still fill in because the inlet pipe is faster than the outlet pipe, but it will take 12 hours to fill in half the barrel. All right, so that's the last problem, and I hope you have learned from this video. If you have learned a lot, or if you have helped you, please subscribe to my channel.